This is the reason for the penalty at the Brighton Arsenal game. This is what has been given officially as the reasoning behind the penalty being awarded. This is from the Premier League Match Centre on Twitter. They have said that the referee's call of a penalty for a foul by Saliba on João Pedro was checked and confirmed by VAR, who deemed there was sufficient contact for a penalty. So the contact that occurred between Saliba and João Pedro that was initiated by Saliba was enough to award a penalty. Now, there is a slight complication here. There is a slight complication because when I first saw this, it looks clear-cut to me. It looks like William Saliba goes to head the ball, misses the ball, and takes the man, headbutts the man, therefore a penalty. In the way that if you try to kick the ball, miss the ball, kick the man, it would be a penalty. But there is a slight complication because I've just seen an incredibly slow angle. A great angle, but incredibly slow, slowed down frame by frame. And William Saliba gets a nick on the ball. William Saliba therefore makes contact with the ball. That adds a complication because if he wins the ball, which he does from the angle that I've just seen, I therefore don't see how he can give a penalty. We're going straight back to the phone lines now. We're going to talk to Will, the Arsenal fan. Will, what do you make of it all?
Oh, again, that's happened against Brighton. It's very, very fishy. It really, really is. I mean, I never thought that was... I didn't even know about that. I didn't even know about the fact that he... Technically, let's say he didn't get the ball, you could say it's a penalty, but that never gets given. And earlier in the game, we had a player pulled down. I think it was Gabriel. Was pulled down when there was going to be when there was a corner. I mean, like, if we're talking letter of the law and everything, then that should have been a penalty. And how did they not get a single yellow card?
Yeah, I mean, it was a very physical game. I think that's a fair point. It was a very physical game. There was a lot going on. There was a lot of spite, a lot of antipathy between the two teams. You could tell that there was an edge in the fixture. But focusing strictly on that penalty, which obviously changed the game, it's the reason why Brighton got a point and the reason why Arsenal have dropped 2 points. I have to actually change my opinion. I've just seen an angle via a tweet where it's slowed down frame by frame and Saliba getting a nick on the ball changes everything. The fact that he's touched the ball means it can't be a penalty. Isn't that fair?
Yeah, it's not. But, you know, this always seems to happen to Arsenal. We've had the most peculiar decisions this year. I mean, you look at the Declan Rice, you know, where he just nudges the ball and the ball was actually kicked to him when we played Brighton at home. That cost us points. 2 points today. We didn't play well in that second half. We didn't. But then, you know, we may have come out of that game, but 1-0 win, and everyone would have said, oh, you know, at least...
Oh, mate, absolutely, Will. If you got the win today, that's all that matters.
Game and not playing well.
No, absolutely, Will. If you had won the game today, there is no doubt in my mind that if you had won the game today, around this period of fixtures, when the games are coming thick and fast over Christmas, there's no such thing really as a good performance or a bad performance. A good performance is a performance that ends with your team accruing 3 points, and a bad performance is a performance when you don't get the 3 points. When the fixtures are coming like this, it isn't about ideology or the manager instilling particular wisdom in players. It's about getting over the line, finding a way, winning the game and getting the 3 points. That's how you end up winning the league. That's why you're potentially in a title race. If you'd won the game today, there's no such thing as a bad performance. The fact that you haven't won the game today, however, that means that things aren't what they should be. Do you genuinely believe that you're in a title race?
You say that, but most other teams probably wouldn't get that sort of decision against them. So we'd be having a completely different discussion.
Oh, I have to push back on that. Just the reason I have to push back on that is because there isn't a persecution of Arsenal. There really isn't. The decision today is poor. No, but you're saying that other teams don't get that treatment. There is the one thing that is consistent about the referees in this country is that they are shocking to all. There isn't a persecution of Arsenal. I don't think you can suggest that other teams don't get that decision against them.
I never said that no other team gets those decisions against them, but we do seem to be one of the teams who gets it way more frequently. I mean...
You think that because you support them, Will. I promise you, if you talk to a Chelsea fan, a Palace fan or a Newcastle fan, they'll all say the same thing.
I agree. I agree with that. I do agree with that. And I have seen other decisions, some strange ones go against other teams. But I swear, I watch, Tottenham games, I watch United games, especially the other big clubs. And no way do I see these really weird decisions, which I've never seen given before. Like who was it against? I think Michael Oliver gave 2 quick yellow cards to one of our players in the same...
Was it Trossard?
Yeah, I think it was.
It was Trossard when he sort of got booked in the same instance twice.
Yeah, the same instance twice.
Do you know what, Will? It's quite interesting here, just to get a different perspective on this. We're going to keep you on, and we're going to bring in Simon, a Brighton fan, and just to hear what he has to say, because he disagrees with your opinion. So it'd be great to get your take on this after we hear from Simon. Simon, you're live.
Hi there. Can you just congratulate the Arsenal fans on their renaming tonight? They're now AFCT. Arsenal Football Conspiracy Theorists.
Yeah, I do see why you're suggesting that. What do you make of it all?
I also wanted to award them the prize for the worst time wasting I've seen since Fulham 18 months ago. For a team that says they're a big team, if they played football to support that, then people would have more sympathy for them. Just because they can't keep up with Liverpool when Man City have an off year, suddenly it's everybody else's fault. So let's get that in perspective as well. So anyway,
what did you make of the penalty? What did you make of the penalty today, Simon?
I sit in the east upper. I'm the same angle as the TV cameras, but the opposite side of the pitch. I couldn't see from where I was. I'm not behind the goal, but I take the referee's view. He didn't give us very much else in the game, so if one thing was, but again, when you go to nick a ball, which you're saying you've seen, the defender nicked it. If you nick the ball with your foot and then clatter through someone in an unsafe way, it's still a foul. So whether he got a touch or not, it's what he did after, immediately in the act of doing it, that still brings into effect. So even if he got that nick, and of course I'm not as good with doctored images as everyone else is nowadays on the slow-mos. But, whatever it is, I wish Arsenal a great season. But for goodness sake, cheer up.
Well, overall, did you think that you were worthy of a point today?
We knew that in the first half, they would try and get a lead. And we gave it a bit. Verbruggen was a bit slow getting down. In the second half, I knew when we brought on Rutter, particularly, outstanding today. When he came on, he was unmanageable for their defence. So, massive thing. I thought we were going to get that. I thought we'd turn it round, and the fact that we didn't have our shooting boots on a few occasions. Anyway, I think a draw is a fair result, but it's just Arsenal fans. I used to go to the Arsenal when I was a 4-year-old, stopped when I was 5.
Do you know what, Simon? We're gonna go back to Will now, just to get his opinion on what you've just said there. Will, what did you make of that?
I mean, what a load of nonsense.
Care to elaborate?
Well, I mean, he's just seeing it from his own perspective.
Oh, sadly, we were losing you there. We're going to try and get Will back on the phone because it was going to be very interested to hear what he had to say. But overall, I don't think there's going to be any agreement between those two. I think that Brighton ultimately will be very happy with what they saw today. They'll be very happy with the fact that they got a point for the second time against Arsenal. And what that point means for Arsenal, I think it could be very detrimental to their title aspirations, their title ambitions this season. I mean, it's such a tricky incident to predict. Like, when I've watched it back, there are two things that really do strike me as being relevant. The first thing that is really important when you watch this incident back, literally none of the Brighton players appeal. So João Pedro goes down, and I know that we shouldn't be basing it totally on the way that the players react, but not one teammate of João Pedro, not one Brighton player gesticulates to the referee that it should be a penalty, appeals for a penalty, suggests that it's a penalty. The play just goes on. So it is slightly weird that the penalty was then given when it seems like nobody on the pitch, who presumably had an incredibly clear view of it, thought that it was a penalty. The second caveat that really does need exploring, and I think that people miss this, and you do miss it if you watch it in normal speed once, Saliba gets the ball. And I think that point really is so relevant. William Saliba getting the ball just changes the entire trajectory of this conversation, because it looks a little bit untidy. There is a clash of heads. No doubt there is a clash of heads. A clash of heads in that circumstance can be dangerous, so you can understand why the referee was keen to act. But the fact that he gets the ball, in my opinion, means that William Saliba and Arsenal Football Club should feel incredibly harshly treated that a penalty was awarded against them. Do let me know what you think about that. Arsenal fans, let me know your thoughts. Do you think that you were harshly treated? Do you think that the penalty shouldn't have been awarded? It does feel very harsh from me. And let me know what you think it means for your title aspirations.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.